not one show, but two on this Gopher Friday. And then we'll join with Tristyn Spann Ford to talk about the Gophers on the next episode. 2 episodes, 1 day. Let's kick it off.
Hey,
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
Welcome into Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Kane Rob, and we are joined again by Tristyn Spann Ford. Get used to him. He's back, and we told you he would be. So I don't know why you would have doubted that, but clearly we're telling the truth here. He'll be back each week during the football season. And you know what? We got some things right last week, Tristyn. We got Mo going off for a good game, right? We got Tanner having a good game, but having less than 225 yards. We were kind of spot on in those different areas.
It did. It felt good. I actually texted you after that first almost interception. Yeah. I was like, we're on track.
Yep. So it's going to be a good one, but that means we got to keep going with these predictions. We got to keep giving the people the right analysis. So that means we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard now and continue to get it right. Now, next week, I think we can have a little fun with it, and we'll talk contenders and pretenders in the Big Ten. But let's give ourselves another week to kind of watch the team, see what it's looking like. But this week, I do have questions for you. So the first one is, what are your biggest takeaways from game one?
Game one takeaways, it's tough because it felt like it was exactly what we talked about. You know, we kind of went out, ran up the score a little bit, we looked really good. A lot of people got a lot of reps. Biggest takeaway, though, I think our defense might be the real deal. I know, again, and you talked about it this week, inferior opponents and stuff, but it just feels like they look really good. They're clicking. And even when those, twos and threes got in towards the end of the game, that was our interception was with our twos and threes. They look really good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even though it's an inferior opponent, if you're holding them to 91 yards and they didn't get 40 of those till the fourth quarter. So it's that's legit. And if you can do that again 2 weeks in a row, I don't care who you're playing, holding two teams under 100, under 150, that's impressive no matter who you're playing. So
agree.
Again, I'm here for it.
Another thing too, that I did take away that was huge is Mo is pretty good at football. It doesn't seem like he was ever injured at any point, and he's still very good at football.
Can confirm he looks pretty good. All right, I got a good question for you. So Minnesota's mascot is the Gophers. What is the Western Illinois mascot?
I hate their name so much. It's so bad. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. I Leathernecks? Ugh.
It sounds like a slur. It sounds like something you shouldn't be calling someone, but here we are in 2022, and I don't know what it is. It has a picture of a dog, so maybe they're talking about a bulldog's leathery neck, but I think you can come up with something better,
It's not good. It reminds me of a old person down in Florida or something, and their skin is just so tan that it's just a leather neck. Oh no, it's just not good.
You just gave every listener listening just the heebie-jeebies, oh no.
Every time I think about it, I'm like, ugh.
All right, so then I got one question about your brother for you. Do you think that Brevin could have played basketball at the Big Ten level?
I think he could have. I don't know. Basketball, it's such a staunch difference between high school ball and college ball. The jump is a lot bigger than it is, and it's a lot quicker of a jump than football is.
Right.
I know he would have put in the work to do it, but I don't know. I know he hooped with some of those guys his freshman, sophomore year, a whole bunch, but I don't know. It would be interesting to find out.
All right. Another question for you is, what team do you dislike the most?
Well, obviously, we hate Iowa. That's a given. Nebraska.
Okay, how come?
They're just it's obnoxious. Like, I get it. Like, it's all they have. It's all they have. And I know we haven't had the most success as sports fans in Minnesota. And that's all they have is Nebraska football. But man, that fandom, I will never understand it. It is so stressful. And every year, Nebraska's back. And they're never back.
I just want to say, if Dwayne Wade, for some reason, ends up listening to this podcast, you can go at Tristyn. I'm not saying all this, but otherwise, any other Nebraska fans, I agree with Tristyn. But Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union, if you hear this, I don't agree. No, not at all.
I'll tell it to Dwayne if he needs to hear it from me. I'll tell it to him. I'll break it down for him gently.
All right. So what is your favorite food to enjoy on game day? Football season is in full swing. We've got college football, and now the NFL is joining us again. What's your favorite go-to food on game day?
On game day, if we're at the stadium, I love it so much I can't even think about the name. It's
Describe it to us.
The Asian food place. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's Asian food, and it is super good. Otherwise, the cheese curds. Okay. And then we always walk to, my stepdad actually always walks to, there's one stand that sells caramel popcorn instead of just the regular popcorn, and that caramel popcorn is.
So if you're at the game this week, you've got some things to go try and go look for it, and give us your feedback. Drop it in the comments. Let us know if it's a hit or if you'd pass.
Yeah.
We're going to learn. We're going to find out.
Need some new spot today too.
All right, last question before we move to our next topics was Wisconsin's quarterback came out and he was playing well in week 1. Graham Mertz actually looked decent. Now, was this solely because they were playing an inferior opponent in an FCS school, or are things starting to click? What do you think?
I don't know. And I if I'm going to be honest, I don't break down games like you do. Obviously, I'm just a fan, but I think they've been touting Graham Mertz for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a couple of people on Twitter saying this year is going to click. I think it's tough if it does click for him, because I don't think this is the team, necessarily. Like, they lost so many guys that I don't think this is the team that's going to necessarily help him. So if he does look good this year, I think he might be the real deal if he, with this crew. So, but again, I don't know. I have to watch some more games this year.
Hey, for sure. I just like to pick the brain, get the gut thought. We're never going to be 100 for 100 on this. So
exactly.
But what we're going to talk about next is the over-unders that's coming up next. BetOnline is your number one source when it comes to all of your pro and college football betting needs and sports information for this season. You can find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts over at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen when it comes to Gopher sports on the daily. We're back here with Tristyn Spann Ford. We're back here with myself, and we're about to talk over-unders. Now, for over-unders for this game, the Gophers are picked to win by 37.5 is the line this week. So up 1 point from last week. Are you taking the over or are you taking the under?
That line, it feels perfect. It feels like Vegas knows what they're doing on this one, but I'd like to take the over on it only because, yes, the team's a little bit better, but not really that much better. We have 1 year under our 1 week under our belts already. So I think we're going to keep clicking, even if we don't run that, even if we don't open up the playbook still fully. I think we're still going to click. I'm sure it's coming, but I think Mo's still going to have a day, and then, he's going to get his touches, and so is Trey, so is Bryce.
Yep. No, I'm with you. And you said it. It's coming. Mo Ibrahim, the rushing line, 125 yards. Are you going over or are you going under? He had 132 last week. Do you think he gets more touches? Do you think they tone it back because it's an inferior opponent? What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be very similar to last week. I don't think Mo knows how to run under 100 yards. He doesn't know how. He hasn't done it since 2015,
Right.
and I don't think he will. So even if Fleck looks at him and says, "Hey, you're only getting 2 touches tonight," like Mo's like, "All right, well, I'm ripping 260 yarders." Like, like I think it's a habit for him. He doesn't know how to do anything else.
He doesn't know how. Like, it's not in his ability. He sees the ball. He says, "How many touches do I got? All right, we're gonna get it." I feel you. Like, and that's a great instinct to have as your team's running back. I will not complain if our running back doesn't know how to run less than 100 yards.
Exactly. He looked phenomenal. He looked like he was never hurt. He had time almost a whole year to rest up. He didn't, I gotta imagine he didn't miss much of camp even, by the time his injury was healed up, and he looked the part. So
all right. So then if you had to pick one this week, who runs for more yards, Trey or Mo?
I'm still going Mo. I do. I mean, obviously, I like Trey too, and I think he looks nice too. He runs aggressive as hell. I mean, I don't know if I can say that, but he runs aggressive, and I think he looks good too. So I still am going with Mo, but Trey will get his touches.
All right. Now, will the Gophers get 1.5 interceptions, over or under? Last week we said 2.5. I picked the under, you picked the over. Moved it down a little bit, so 1.5. So under would mean they get 1 or less. Over means 2 or more.
I mean, I was overzealous last week, clearly, but technically, it was very close. So I'm still going to go
12 attempts. So
exactly. So that's what, and it sounds like what they might throw the ball a little more this week. And give us some more looks, give those D-backs some more looks. So I'm going to go over again. The line is a little lower anyway, so I'm gonna go over. I think we get 2.
I'm gonna go under because I'm gonna hopefully rack up. So we'll start adding these points up.
I was gonna say we should be keeping track. Somebody's got to, like, by the end of this.
I'll re-listen and then I'll add it up. Make sure we got a tally going.
Like the losers got to do the last week show with like a Wisconsin shirt on or something. That's too far. I'm sorry. I
don't know about that one. All right. Will the Gophers get over or under 2.5 sacks?
I'd like to say over on this one too, but again, I haven't watched. I didn't watch. I don't think I would have been able to watch them last week on TV, anyways. But I didn't watch it all. But I gotta imagine that our defensive line, even after live action that first week, these guys are ready to go. Feeling good about playing ball, ready for that contact. So I'm gonna go over on that too.
Right, you're not wrong. I mean, things start to click. You start to get in more and more, like, things happen quicker. You start like processing things quicker. So I'm with you. I think I'll go over on this one. So hopefully we're not both losing a point there. And then, all right. So if you have to pick a number, how many passing yards will Tanner Morgan have this week?
I still don't think this is the week to really roll out the full playbook. I think, what did he end up with last week?
I believe it was like 174, something like that.
174. I would put him somewhere around 200. I like the way they played last week, and I think it'll be a similar vibe. So I'm gonna go with right around 200. I think they'll toss the ball around, but I really don't think they'll open up the full playbook yet.
I think I'm with you. I think I would put him right around that, like 205. Like, he's not going to get up to 220 or anything like that, but he might creep just past it if they want to get some more reps in or what have you. But there were a couple of drops this past week too that were really big. So if those connect, he's probably into that 200s in that first week. So I think we can do that this week. All right, so that's going to do it for over-unders. Now we're going to wrap the show with predictions, and let us know what your predictions are in the comments below, so that way we can read it back, see if you got it before we did, or if we're just rolling and getting it right. So we'll find out here, but that's what's coming up next. All right, it's money time. This is where you need to put your money where your mouth is, Tristyn. So what is the final score for this game?
Oh, I'm going to say 37-7. And that 7 is a fourth quarter kind of a garbage time touchdown.
Okay.
I think the offense, I would love for us to run up the score once again, and I know, does that go over what I said on the spread? I think it does. I think I went against myself there.
Yep, I think you went against yourself there as well.
It's all right. I have different thoughts at different times.
Hey, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly
exactly.
growing.
I've grown since then. So I think that sounds just about right. We're going to put up some points, and then, we're going to see some guys get in there, and we'll see what happens there. So,
all right, I'm going to go with 41-6. In both of the 6 is 2 field goals. They're going to get 2 field goals on us. They're not going to be able to get it in the red zone. They're going to have to take some chip shots. And it's 3 points more than what we scored last week. So I think we maybe get another field goal out there. But we'll see what happens there. Now, who do you think will be the best player for the offense this week? We were both hit on this last week. You said Tanner, I said Mo, and I believe we were both 100% right. So we got to keep that streak going.
Yeah, I would love for Brev to get a touchdown this week. That would be sweet. I would be geeked. But I just don't know. I just think Mo is going to light it up again. It's hard to deny him that. Like, even if he comes out and has a game like last week, another 125 yards is like, that's a big game, especially considering he's not going to be in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So I'm going to go, if I went with Tanner last week, I'm going with Mo this week. It's a safe pick.
You're right. It's fair. And it's tough not to go that way when they'll probably run the ball a ton. And speaking of that, I'm not going to go with Mo, but I'm going to go with his partner in the backfield, Trey. I think Trey is going to be the player of the week. I think somehow Mo might beat him in yardage, but I think Trey's going to walk away with more touchdowns this week. And I think that's what's going to put him above. So then who is going to be the best player on the defensive side? This one, you picked Tyler Nubin. I think you lost on that one. I picked Thomas Rush. He got a sack, so I'm going to take half a point on that. Now, we got to pick who's going to be this week, and I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go with Mariano. Okay. I think he's going to facilitate this week. I kind of, he played well last week, but I think this week he's going to step up and, make some big plays in the backfield. Would be sweet.
I feel that probably would have been my pick, but you snagged it from me. This is why I let you go first. I feel like I got to give you that leeway, that grace. But
we'll get you an asterisk there if I win.
Yeah.
We'll put an asterisk on it.
I'm going to pick a cornerback. I'm going between the two right now, but I think I'm going to go with Justin Wally. I want to say AT time, but something's just telling me to pick Wally. So I'm going to pick Wally. And the reason I think it's going to be a cornerback is because Western Illinois had a receiver who had 171 yards and 3 touchdowns this past week. We got to have somebody take him out of the game plan. Clearly, he's like the only thing they had going for them. So I think one of our corners is going to do it. And if I have to pick one, I'm going with Wally because T-Time got his pick last week. So Justin Wally got robbed last week. So we got to get him one this week.
That is true.
All right. And then the final question of the week. Well, actually, I don't think they've released uniforms yet, have they? Last time we did a uniform guess.
We were very close.
They released the uniforms like right after. And I was like, well, we're wrong. And the people will know before they listen. But let's just do a uniform guess. Hopefully they haven't given it away yet. What uniforms do you think they will wear?
No, I think it's fine. Then people do a little time traveling too. It's fun.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think. They're at home again.
Yep.
I think we might go whites this week then.
Okay.
We're not going to wear anything too crazy, but I think we go whites. But I'm also feeling maybe some yellow helmets.
See, that's where I'm feeling too. I'm feeling yellow helmets, yellow jerseys, maroon pants.
Yellow helmets, yellow jerseys. Okay. I like that pick. I'm going white. I'm going to go with white then. I'm going to go with my initial gut.
All right. And the final question, the question of the week. Does Western Illinois get more than 150 total yards versus this defense?
No, I just don't see it. Even like we talked about what they did last week, and Leathernecks are a little bit better than New Mexico State, but I think it's going to be very similar. So I think there's going to be, 40 plus, whatever they end up with, 40 plus added on at the end of the game, in that fourth quarter, kind of guys trying it out. But I think they're going to be well under that number.
Well under. All right.
Well, okay. 100 yards. 100 yards. We'll keep them at 100 yards.
I also am going to go under. I think it might be closer. I think it might be in that like 120, 130 range. I hope that you're right. I hope that it is well under or under 100, because I think that will show the world they need to be on notice when it comes to this Gophers defense. I feel like we don't get enough credit. We don't get enough love. There's been a couple things that have shouted out our secondary here and there, but last week I started to see more things popping up on Twitter, like the Gophers defense was the best defense this week and things like that. It's just like, yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
We've been saying this. Like, so
I agree. I was looking, do you think where we're at, like, I don't love having these two games first. The more I'm looking at the schedule,
right.
Does it like, do you ever like think like, oh, like Colorado, is that a weird letdown spot? Because that'll suck. Like if we play really, really well, I think we're going to play well on the road against Michigan State, but like, like, is it going to be like, what kind of mental thing do you think that'll be in that?
Normally, I do think that could be a spot where maybe you relax and then you pull a Bowling Green.
Yeah, exactly.
But Sanford is the offensive coordinator for Colorado. So I think right there, you're trying to prove it to him like, dude, you were the reason we were not where we needed to be. You were the reason we don't have a West title last year. So I think they'll pull out all the stops and they'll get a good win on that one. I think Michigan State will be a huge game for us. I'm actually more worried about Purdue. I think that's the one that I've kind of projected as like, that could be where maybe we relax a bit too much. And it's homecoming, so maybe not, because we lost homecoming last year, but Purdue showed that they were legit when they played Penn State, and they should have won that game. They hurt themselves in that game. So that's the one that scares me a bit. But I think these non-conference games will be okay. But it brings a good question that I want to close the show on with you. Do you think that the Gophers should be playing harder opponents, or at least one harder opponent, in the non-conference schedule?
That is, I would like to see it, at least maybe not these two opponents, maybe one of them is a non-conference, but a little bit more of a challenge. I mean, hopefully a challenge. We haven't played, I don't know yet, but we'll see. I don't mind. Like, I like how easy our schedule is, obviously, because I think we can get a lot of wins. But I do agree. I kind of liked opening with Ohio State last year. That was really, it was exciting. Like, the energy surrounding that week one is electric at the stadium is just amazing. And when we played Ohio State, it was, sold out, packed, like this is going to be a game. And it was a really good game, up until a certain point. Right. So I kind of like the idea of playing a stronger opponent, at least in the first 2 weeks. Like I said, I don't like how lax our schedule is, the buildup. Right. It makes it scary for a weird letdown spot. And I don't like the idea of that.
But if you have a light beginning, like we're seeing, that the ending is going to be crazy. Like we've got Iowa and Wisconsin back to back to close it. So it's just like, there's things that I like, things that I dislike, but sometimes I hope, and I guess Colorado maybe was an attempt at that, but we didn't know what they're going to be when they got scheduled years ago. Yeah. But I would hope to see one other Power 5 school that, like, maybe not a huge contender, but someone that helps get us into those rankings quicker. Yes. Because right now with this lower schedule, it makes it harder for us to get the respect of being ranked.
That's what I keep looking at too. I'm like, are we not going to get, like, at what point, until we beat Michigan State, is that the point where you can rank us?
In there. Yep. I think that's honestly the first time that we can maybe get a look at the top 25 is going in and beating Michigan State. I don't think we'll get it besides these, unless we shut out all three of these teams in the first 3 games, then maybe teams are like, okay, this Gophers defense is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's too early in the season. I like to use the transitive property a lot throughout the season when ranking us, so like last year, what was it? Did Colorado beat A&M? A&M beat Bama, and we beat Colorado? Something like that. So transitive property, we are better than Alabama.
Yeah, that's what that means. That's what it is.
Exactly. So, but we're early. We're too early for that. We'll start to break that down later on in the season of at what point the Gophers are better than Alabama.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. I feel like we could keep going for hours, but we will wrap it up right here. Thank you again for joining us. And next week, we're going to talk about contenders and pretenders in the Big Ten. So you're going to want to tune into that. This is Kane and Tristyn signing off. We'll see you next week. Have a good one and go Gophers.